I walked in and saw her, my fiancée, half naked on the laundry room floor with a janitor from her office building. His uniform still on, hands on her waist. She didn't flinch when she saw me. She smirked. That moment rewired something inside me forever. But I'll let you decide what I did next. We were 3 weeks from the wedding. Everything was ready. Invitations mailed. Guest list confirmed. Her dress was hanging in the guest bedroom closet, still with the price tag attached. I was even planning a surprise honeymoon, 5 nights in Costa Rica. She didn't know yet. I wanted to keep it special. That morning, she texted me around 10:45. Staying late for work. Don't wait up. Love you. It was normal. She often stayed behind on Fridays to close the week. She worked in an insurance office downtown, handled admin stuff. I didn't question it. But around noon, I realized I left my passport in her apartment, something I needed to finalize the flight booking. I texted her. No response. Called twice. Straight to voicemail. She usually didn't turn off her phone. So I drove to her place. We both had keys. I let myself in. Quietly. I didn't want to wake her roommate if she was napping or startle her if she was working on reports. I walked past the kitchen. Then I heard a sound. A low thump. A rustling. From the laundry room. I thought maybe the washer was off balance. It had happened before. I opened the door. And I saw her. Bent forward on the cold tile floor. Arms resting on a dryer. Hair hanging loose. Her skirt was pushed up. Her blouse unbuttoned. And behind her, his orange jumpsuit halfway down, his boots still on the tile, was the janitor from her building. I'd seen him before. Once, when I picked her up from work and he was mopping the lobby. He looked up first. Then she did. And she didn't scream. She smiled. I told you not to wait up, she said casually. The janitor stepped back like he expected me to punch him. I didn't move. She laughed. Don't look so hurt. You act like I haven't been dropping hits. I felt like the floor cracked under me. You don't get it, do you? She said, standing up, buttoning her shirt like nothing happened. You're just too safe. Too easy. You believe everything I say. It's actually embarrassing. I couldn't speak. My mouth was open, but nothing came out. She stepped toward me. You trusted me so blindly. It's honestly pathetic. Then she picked up her phone and snapped a photo of my face. For the memory, she said with a wink. That was the moment I realized she wasn't just unfaithful. She enjoyed it. She wanted me to see. She wanted to break me. And maybe she did, but not for long. I didn't go home that night. I didn't even drive. I sat in my car across the street from her building, engine off, phone in my lap. For hours. My head was pounding, my chest felt caved in, and I couldn't stop hearing her laugh. I wanted to believe it was some twisted mistake. That maybe she was trying to make me jealous. That it wasn't what it looked like. So I texted her. We need to talk. Please. I'm not angry. I just want to understand. She didn't reply. An hour later, I sent another. I love you. I don't know what happened, but I want to work through it. Still nothing. I went home just before sunrise. The lights in her apartment were off by then. I crawled into bed fully dressed. Didn't sleep. Just stared at the ceiling. By noon, she finally answered. Not with an apology. Not even a sentence. Just a video. It was the janitor again. In her kitchen. Shirtless. Cooking eggs. He looked at the camera, raised a spatula, and said, "Morning, bro." I dropped my phone. I sat on the edge of the bed for an hour without moving. Then she sent a voice message. Her voice was light. Playful. You really thought I was going to marry you? You? You couldn't even stand up for yourself in that laundry room. I could see your hands shaking. It was almost cute. Almost. I listened to that recording 5 times. Not because I enjoyed it. Because I needed to hear what she really thought of me. And it broke something inside me. But the worst wasn't the cheating. It was how fast she flipped. That night, she posted a photo of herself in the same apartment, wearing my hoodie. Caption. People come and go. Comfort stays. I didn't even know how to respond. I wanted to scream. Smash something. But I didn't. Instead, I wrote her an email. It was long. Rambling. Pathetic. I told her I forgave her. Told her I still loved her. That people make mistakes. That I could grow, be stronger, be what she needed. I told her I was willing to talk. No pressure. No guilt. Just talk. She replied with a screenshot. It was my email, highlighted. And under it, in bold letters, she wrote, "This is why I did it." The next morning, I found a package outside my apartment door. No return label. Inside was the ring. Not in the box I gave it to her in, but inside a used fast food bag, covered in crumbs. There was a note, handwritten in sharp pen strokes. You wanted closure. Here it is. Stop embarrassing yourself. I didn't cry. I didn't throw anything. I just stood there, holding the greasy paper in one hand, the ring in the other. And I realized I had nothing left to beg for, nothing left to save. But maybe something still left to take back. For days, I didn't speak to anyone. I called in sick to work, turned off all notifications, and barely left the apartment. I lived on cereal and tap water. Not because I couldn't afford better, because I didn't care. But my mind didn't stop. I kept thinking about that smirk. Her voice. The janitor raising that spatula like he'd won something. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was ashamed. Not because she cheated. Because I let her humiliate me. And begged her after. And then, one night, around 3 a.m., I opened a blank document on my laptop. I typed her name. Then the janitor's. Then my own. Then I just started writing. You took everything. My pride. My peace. My dignity. And you smiled while doing it. But you forgot something. I watched. I saw. I listened. I remember every detail. And I'm going to use it. It wasn't a plan yet. Just rage with structure. But it felt like breathing after drowning. The next day, I started small. I pulled up every message, email, shared doc, and calendar invite from the last year. Wedding plans, financial splits, addresses we wrote down for joint paperwork. She made mistakes. The ring was still in my name. So was one of the catering deposits. So was the shared storage unit I had forgotten we signed together, same as. I started listing every loose thread she thought I wouldn't pull. And the more I listed, the more I started to feel something new. Control. Not power, just a grip. Like my hands weren't slipping anymore. I created folders. Labels. Timelines. I traced where she met the janitor. He worked in the same building 2 nights a week. I found his public social media account. He only had a few posts, but one showed them together outside a convenience store 2 months before the laundry room. She'd been planning this. And not just cheating, but shaming me with it. I wasn't going to match her cruelty. That wasn't the goal. I wanted silence. Clean, public silence. The kind that makes people uncomfortable because they can't explain why it's so quiet. But first, I needed leverage. So I started with her job. She bragged about being promoted soon. I remembered an offhand comment she once made at dinner. Half the team's scared of me. I told them I keep track of everything. She thought that made her powerful. It made her predictable. I created a fake inquiry. An anonymous complaint submitted through her company's internal system. Nothing crazy, just a report about her making personal use of restricted files. Something just believable enough to spark an internal audit. I wouldn't know the outcome right away, but it would begin. And as I clicked submit, I realized something. I didn't feel weak anymore. I felt patient. And that was the beginning of everything she never saw coming. The anonymous complaint worked faster than I expected. By Thursday morning, I saw it in her story, a blurry picture of a closed office door with the words, "Some people love wasting HR's time." It was working. She didn't know it was me, but she knew someone had pulled a thread. And that's all I wanted for now, unbalance her. Let her feel watched. That same afternoon, I went deeper. The catering deposit for the wedding was still under my card. A $1,000 non-refundable fee. I called them, explained the wedding was off, and asked what could be done. They said I couldn't get it back, but I could reassign it. So I did. To her ex-roommate's wedding. She and my ex had a falling out 2 months ago over money. She still owed her $600 for utilities. I contacted her directly, anonymously. Told her the catering deposit had been reassigned in her name, paid in full. No strings attached. 2 days later, she posted a thank you on her page. No clue who sent this. But thank you. You saved my wedding. And my ex? She lost it. Started posting vague quotes about jealous exes, backstabbers, and snakes. I didn't say a word. Then came the janitor. Or as she now called him publicly, C. I knew from her photos where he worked, Midtown Corporate Tower, contracted out for maintenance. They had a strict employee code of conduct. And one of the policies? Zero tolerance for fraternizing with tenants or clients. He violated that when he, well, you know. So I filed a report. I used screenshots, pulled from her own posts. One showed him shirtless on her couch, with her company badge hanging from his neck. Another had them in the laundry room. Her captioned it, "Dirty work. Clean fun." He was fired 4 days later. and she posted nothing for a week. The silence tasted sweet, but it wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about rhythm, pace. Strike, wait, strike again. I wanted her paranoid, not destroyed. Yet, the next wave was quieter. I forwarded her old wedding registry to her church, where her mother was still active. One of the items on it? A vibrating pillow speaker listed under bedroom essentials. That list was public. Now it wasn't. She deleted the registry. 3 hours later, her mother unfollowed her on Facebook. I didn't laugh. I didn't gloat. I just watched her life compress, one awkward conversation at a time. And for the first time in weeks, I looked at myself in the mirror and didn't flinch. Not because I was proud, because I wasn't helpless anymore. I was rebuilding, one piece at a time, and she was finally starting to feel it. I thought I had control, thought I was quiet enough, careful enough, but she was watching too. And I forgot she knew my patterns, knew my fear of confrontation, my need to be liked, my history with anxiety. She didn't just know my habits. She knew my pressure points, and she squeezed them hard. It started with a phone call from my landlord. "You've been getting a lot of visits lately." "What kind of visits?" He paused. "Noise complaints. 3 of them. And someone said they saw you screaming in the hallway last week." I hadn't. I don't yell. I don't even raise my voice. But I knew exactly who planted the story. She was laying the groundwork. Later that day, I checked my email. There it was. A forwarded message from my HR department at work. Subject: Conduct and Wellness Inquiry. Apparently, someone filed an informal wellness concern. Said I'd been exhibiting obsessive behavior, missing deadlines, and appearing emotionally unstable in public. None of it was true, but it didn't matter. Now there was a file. An official one. Not disciplinary, but recorded. A warning shot. She wasn't trying to get me fired. She wanted to brand me as unstable, as the problem, the man who couldn't handle the breakup. Then it got worse. I logged into a forum where I'd been anonymously venting about the breakup, nothing hateful, just reflections, sadness, shame. But she found it. I don't know how. Maybe I left a digital fingerprint. Maybe I was sloppy. But she screenshotted entire posts and sent them to 3 of my coworkers, one of whom I once foolishly confided in about the relationship. The caption? "He's been blogging about me under a fake name. And people wonder why I had to get away." One of my coworkers blocked me. Another unfriended me. The third didn't respond. She was winning. Not just online. In real life. I became the guy with the weird energy. The guy people whispered about in break rooms. The one who looked fine on paper but suddenly seemed off. Then she posted the nail in the coffin. A picture of the janitor, in a work vest. The caption: "He may take out trash, but he never dumped me when I needed him." Over 300 likes. 3 mutuals reposted it. One added: "Some women level up. Some guys collapse." I read that while eating alone at a food court. Suddenly, I couldn't finish the sandwich in front of me. Not because I was angry. Because it was working. She was rebuilding her image. And I was being erased. Not as a villain. Worse. As a joke. And for a moment, I believed it. But only for a moment. Because that night, alone in my dark apartment, I opened the drawer where I'd kept everything she thought I'd forgotten. And I found something she never saw coming. I didn't speak for days. Didn't post. Didn't answer texts. I let the noise settle. Let her think she won. Because that's what people like her crave more than victory reaction. And I gave her none. Instead, I studied. I went back to that drawer. The one with every screenshot, message, invoice, and voice memo I'd saved before she torched it all. I wasn't looking for revenge this time. I was building evidence. But not for the public. For the people that mattered. Like the bank where she opened a joint savings account in both our names, illegally, just to claim cohabitation for a moving discount. I still had access to the activity log. The account was dormant now, but the application form still existed. I sent a quiet inquiry through their fraud department. Didn't accuse her of anything. Just requested a review of her paperwork. That was a Monday. By Friday, she posted, "When paperwork bites back." Oops. I smiled. Next, I went after her side hustle, an Etsy page where she sold handmade candles and natural oils. Except, she didn't make them. She resold cheap items from bulk distributors. I knew, because I helped her set it up. I forwarded receipts and supplier listings to the platform. Included timestamps from the same photos she used to advertise her creations. The shop went down in 48 hours. No explanation. Just violations of terms. She tweeted, "People are so bitter, it's almost funny." It wasn't funny. It was silent, slow, measured. Then I made it personal. I remembered the janitor, C, had posted a picture months ago with a city-owned van in the background. I zoomed in. License plate was visible. I traced it. He wasn't authorized to drive it. It was supposed to be parked after 5 p.m. That photo? Taken at 8:40 p.m. I sent it to his department anonymously, with one sentence, wondering if protocol was followed here. 2 weeks later, he vanished from her feed. No announcement. No explanation. Just deleted. She stopped posting for a while after that. But the best part? People started talking. Not loudly, but subtly. In comment sections. In DMs. Wasn't she engaged a few months ago? Didn't she say something about an HR complaint? But now she's gone. She couldn't spin the story fast enough. Not when the holes were opening from the inside. Not when people were asking the one thing she feared most. What if he wasn't the crazy one? And I didn't need to answer. Because the silence was finally speaking for me. I should have known she wasn't done. Not her. She didn't disappear, she was recalibrating. And when she came back, she didn't go for public humiliation. She went private. Surgical. It started with a call from my mother. I got a message from someone named Mallory. Said she was your former fiancé? I froze. What did she say? She said she was worried about you. That you've been unstable. That you were, maybe not taking the breakup well. She said she didn't know who else to call. I closed my eyes. My chest tightened. She said she wasn't trying to start trouble. Just thought your family should know. In case you needed help. I couldn't breathe. She didn't just go for my job. She didn't just go for my reputation. She went for my mother, my father, my sister, the people who still thought I was the steady one, the quiet one, the one who never made a scene. And now? Now they were calling me, asking if I was okay, if I needed space, if I was getting support. And she didn't stop there. She started reaching out to people from my past, my high school mentor, my old boss, even an ex-girlfriend from 5 years ago. Same script, slightly tweaked. He's been struggling. I don't want to worry anyone, but I still care about him, just not romantically. She was setting the stage for something. I didn't know what yet, but I knew the pattern. Destroy the support system, make the target look unwell, then wait for the collapse. And it was working. People I hadn't heard from in months suddenly texted with vague concern, the kind that stings more than silence. And then the worst of it hit. She filed a report. Not criminal, not official, but she submitted a community wellness concern to my apartment building. Claimed she heard yelling. Said she was worried about my safety. I got an email the next day. They were conducting a tenant review. They could evict me if they found behavioral risk. No police were ever called. No complaints from neighbors. Just her. And her word. I stood in the middle of my apartment that night, lights off, hands shaking. She was erasing my life from the inside out. And part of me wanted to give up. Let her win. Let her finish the job. But then, something strange happened. She made a mistake. Buried in one of her posts, meant to be a vague quote about toxic energy, she used a photo I recognized. It wasn't hers. It was mine. A photo I'd taken on our trip to Asheville. My watermark was faint, in the lower left corner. I had metadata on file. I could prove the image was mine. And she used it without permission. It was small. Petty. But it was proof. And that meant? Her armor wasn't as flawless as she wanted everyone to think. I had a foothold again. Not much, but enough. The photo was mine. Taken on a DSLR I bought the summer we road trip through Asheville. She'd mocked me for lugging it everywhere, called me obsessive. But now she was using my work to build her healing persona online. My watermark was faint, but it was there. I had the original raw file. Metadata, timestamp, GPS. That gave me one thing she hadn't expected. Legal leverage. I didn't go public. I sent a formal takedown notice to the platform hosting her account. Filed under my real name. Attached the metadata. Made it cold. Professional. Within 24 hours, the post disappeared. 3 days later, her account was suspended for multiple copyright violations. Apparently, that wasn't the only photo she'd stolen. She went silent again. But this time, I didn't stop. I kept going. I contacted the apartment management board and requested a copy of the wellness complaint she filed against me. Legally, they had to show it. What I got was better than expected. She didn't just file a concern. She wrote a full letter. and she signed it with her full name. Attached to it? A screenshot of a text she claimed I sent her in anger. Except I never sent that message. And I had the message history to prove it. She forged it. I now had written proof of defamation and falsified documentation submitted to a property manager, a potential civil case. That changed everything. Now I wasn't reacting. I was preparing. I contacted a lawyer. Quietly. Showed him everything: screenshots, emails, social posts, the letter. He leaned back and said, "If we go through with this, we don't just win. We bury her." But I wasn't ready for court. Not yet. Because I still wanted one thing more than revenge. Control. So I kept the lawsuit ready. Filed the notice. Sealed it. But I didn't serve it. Not yet. Instead, I made sure she knew it existed. An envelope left in her building's mailbox, addressed to her, no postage. Inside, a redacted version of the filing. No accusations. Just enough for her to recognize the format. And a sticky note. "You know what this is." That night, she broke the silence. She texted, "You're really going this far?" I didn't answer. 3 minutes later, another message. "Whatever happened to the guy who used to cry if I raised my voice?" That one made me pause. Because I had cried. More than once. But not anymore. I turned off the phone and went to sleep. Because now, she was the one waiting for a reply. And in that silence, she realized. She wasn't winning anymore. The envelope shook her. I could tell. She stopped posting for almost a week. No stories. No healing energy. No smug quotes. But silence, I learned, wasn't surrender. It was set up. And on the 8th day, she struck. I came home from the store and found a plain manila envelope taped to my door. No name. No return address. Inside, a printed document. An official cease and desist. Claiming harassment. Digital stalking. Psychological manipulation and intimidation. Attached were screenshots of my anonymous posts, photos from a burner account I'd used to monitor her socials, and a timeline so detailed, I almost thought I wrote it. She'd hired someone. A digital forensics consultant. Probably expensive. And she built a narrative. Not about a bad breakup, but about a man who couldn't let go. A man who obsessed. A man who manipulated. It wasn't public yet. But the document made it clear, if I so much as sent one more anonymous message, if I contacted one more employer, friend, or platform, she'd go to court. Not civil. Criminal. My stomach dropped. I read it twice. 3 times. I couldn't breathe. She had reversed the entire narrative. I thought I was cornering her. But she was building a counter case. And if she filed it, even if it didn't stick, I'd be branded. My job, my reputation, my records. All vulnerable. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't move. I sat in the dark and replayed every step I took for the last 3 months. Every strike. Every message. Every anonymous report. She had documented it all. She wanted to force me into silence. And it might work. The next morning, I drafted an apology letter. Not to her, but for myself. For when I'd inevitably have to explain this to HR, my landlord, my family. I had lost. Again. She was better at this than me. I was quiet. Careful. But she was ruthless. She didn't flinch. Didn't hesitate. She weaponized every system and made me look like the unstable one. I was ready to give in. Until I remembered something. Something tiny. Something she forgot. When I was digging through old files months ago, I stumbled on a folder labeled Wedding Backup. Inside were guest lists, contracts, and a digital receipt from her old email. It was a paid invoice. To a private contractor. 4. Fake reviews. Dozens of 5-star testimonials left on platforms connected to her Etsy store, her blog, and her resume references. All dated. All paid for. I had the PDF. The payment log. The burner email. And the kicker? One of the platforms she faked reviews on? The job she currently worked for. That company prided itself on integrity. And she faked public testimonials to get the role. I stared at the folder. The power in my hands. One file. One email. And she wouldn't just lose her job. She'd lose her credibility. Her safety net. Maybe her entire digital identity. It was enough to ruin her. Forever. I woke up that morning already knowing what I was going to do. I drafted the email the night before. The documents were clean, organized, attached. The subject line was cold. Anonymous ethics concern regarding fraudulent activity by employee, her name. It was set to send to her company's internal compliance team. I hovered over the send button for a long time. Not because I was scared. Because I was calm. Too calm. This wasn't revenge anymore. This was surgery. And I was ready to cut deep. But I never clicked send. Because 20 minutes later, she showed up at my door. I didn't even know how she got in the building. Someone must have buzzed her in. She looked nothing like herself. No makeup. No heels. No smirk. Just sweatpants, shaking hands, and eyes that didn't blink. She held her phone up before she said a word. I know, she whispered. I know what you have. I didn't answer. I know about the reviews. The files. I saw the folder title when I was still in your cloud. Her voice cracked. Her hand dropped. I came to say, don't. Please. I said nothing. She took a breath, stepped forward, and then dropped to her knees. Right there in my hallway. Her voice dropped, too. You win, she said. You win. I don't care about the job. The page. The apartment. Just don't destroy everything. I stared at her, kneeling where I once stood broken. She kept talking, her words barely holding together. You don't know what it's like. I thought if I broke you first, you couldn't break me. But I was wrong. She looked up. Her eyes were red. No tears yet. Until she saw I was still silent. Then she broke completely. Hands shaking. Shoulders trembling. The kind of crying that doesn't make a sound. For months, I imagined this moment. I dreamed of it. Rehearsed it. But standing there, looking at her like that, powerless, terrified, I didn't feel victorious. I felt done. So I stepped past her, walked to my desk, opened the email out, and deleted it. All of it. The attachments. The drafts. The folder. She watched me do it. Frozen. Silent. I turned to her and said the only words I had left. I'm not doing this for you. She nodded, still on the floor. I opened the door. She stood. Slowly. Didn't speak. Didn't thank me. Didn't ask for another chance. She just walked out. I haven't heard from her since. I don't know where she is now. And I don't care. Because I didn't spare her out of weakness. I spared her to remind myself of one thing. I'm not like her. And now I leave you with one question now. What would you have done in my place?